Welcome back, everyone, to Marketing Monday. So today is it really exciting. We are talking about branding and brand identities, how we can work to create or strengthen our current identities. And the way that we're going to do that is through creating a mini branding strategy with some really actionable steps. And so, if you've not been here before, my name is Kara. I'll be our host today. My co host is PJ. He's not here today, but he will be back with us next week. And he has also shared many insights through this presentation for us as well. So we are going to go through this real quick. And Jennifer, I do know that you have heard some of this before because we worked together on branding in the incubator, but we're going to go back through this and then we'll have a short discussion or question and answer session at the end if there's anything that we want to talk about. But in order to really build a strong brand identity, we need to create and piece together a brand strategy. And so you may be at a point in your branding where your branding is complete, but you want to go back through and you want to revise things because we can always make really strategic revisions, rebrand, make updates, and so forth. And so your brand and your brand story are living. So whatever stage you're at is fine because now we can work to really integrate our strategy into these stages. And so branding is also a really crucial step as well because we want to have our branding really solidified before we move into marketing efforts. So right now we're looking at what is the purpose of a branding strategy. And so today we're going to dive into together this fundamental question for your business. What is a branding strategy and what is its purpose? And so the goal of this is to create a unique and really memorable identity for your business. And this will contribute to how your audience perceives you. And so we're essentially giving your brand a personality. And so that when you implement this personality consistently over time, your branding will help build trust and it will also help foster customer loyalty. And so, why do we need a branding strategy? Well, a strong brand identity and a strong branding strategy is really crucial because it serves as the roadmap for your business for establishing your really distinctive and your really memorable identity in the minds of consumers. So, whether you're promoting a tourist destination or a special event, a well crafted branding strategy serves as your foundation for attracting visitors or customers, for fostering positive perceptions, and also for creating lasting memories. And all of these are really critical in this really dynamic and competitive industry. And so it's also so important for small businesses to really define or refine their branding because a polished and professional small business leads to increased customer confidence and perception. So they'll start to trust you and look to you specifically. It's also really significantly helps with partnerships and collaborations because your intended partner will perceive you as being very well established, very professional, and an expert in your field, someone that they want to partner with. So I'm going to go through creating a mini branding strategy with you or work to revise your current strategy now so that we really have a clear understanding of how to strengthen your overall brand identity. Also, PJ and I are always available for one-on-one sessions, for brand analyses, tips, brainstorming sessions, and so forth. And Taylor will share our contact information in the chat as well. So let's just take a really quick look at today's blueprint. So we're going to look through each slide at some actionable steps for branding. We are going to look at defining or refining our core values. We'll glance at target audience as well as the importance of storytelling. We'll look at SWOT analysis and competitive landscaping for your branding. We'll also look at strategic messaging and creating taglines. We will talk about brand image and visuals, as well as the importance of having a really well-established digital presence for your brand. We will end with some SMART goals and some key takeaways. Okay, so the first thing that we want to look at in our mini branding strategy is to really define and articulate the core values of our brand. So this is a really foundational step, being able to clearly define and properly express your core values as they really serve as these guiding principles to your brand's existence. So, for example, a tourism brand might emphasize authenticity, sustainability, community engagement. These are some ideas of core values. Similarly, a special events business might prioritize something like innovation, inclusivity, or entertainment excellence. So, clearly defining these values, it not only provides this really internal cohesion, but it also serves as a compass for external communication as well, because it's really enabling your brand to resonate authentically with your target audience. So we want to start our branding by really looking into and writing down our core values. And if this is something that you've already done or you're past this step, then maybe you want to glance back at them and just make sure that they're really clearly articulating what you want them to say about your brand. Now, our next step in our process is determining our target audience for our brand. And so I'm not going to go too deep into this because I know that we've talked a lot about this in our Marketing Monday sessions and our other Uplift programming as well. So we'll just touch base on this. If anyone's working to refine your target audience or to develop your branding in tandem with their values. And so when getting into our branding, we want to really define our audience by looking at their demographics, their psychographics, as well as their pain points, because we want our brand and our brand identity to align with our audience. So the best thing here is that we really start to define and we really start to streamline our audience, so that our branding efforts are meeting their preferences and meeting their needs. So if you are working on this step or you're finding updates or you're finding any kind of discrepancies in your previous audience, you can go back here and make adjustments to your branding as needed. So now we are in the part of our strategy where I think that branding can really start to get fun. So in order to really strengthen our brand identity, we need to craft a small brand story, or you can edit a current one. So this is your About Me section. This works to really humanize your brand, so that it makes it really memorable, and really trusted as well. And I'm sure that we've all read some sort of brand story that has really stuck out with us. And feel free to share it in the chat if you know, if you just have read a brand story or heard one from a particular brand that you just really remember. And PJ talks about this a lot, that a good brand story will always have some sort of really strong emotional pull to get the audience to empathize with your brand. And so maybe this is your least favorite part. You don't really consider yourself a storyteller. That's totally okay. It is possible to utilize AI to help craft or to help brainstorm a story if this is not your strong suit. But overall, sometimes we find we might actually be better storytellers than we think, because at this point in your strategy, where you're really working to define your brand identity, stories kind of start to come easier. And you can start here by looking back to your values and looking back to your audience, exploring your origins. So, for example, reflecting on the origin of your business, writing down any unique story, any challenges or milestones that really helped shape your brand and its journey. And always to keep in mind and remember, a brand story is living, so it can change and it can develop over time. And we also have a great Storytelling Marketing Mondays episode on our YouTube channel and in the Knowledge Center as well that you can check out on this. So the next thing that we want to look at in our mini branding strategy for developing our brand identity is creating a SWOT analysis of your brand. And so I know that through a lot of our uplift programming, we're getting into SWOT analysis, we're doing a lot of these, but this time we're creating a SWOT analysis on your branding specifically. So looking at your brand, we are going to analyze some internal and some external factors. And so by doing this, it's going to help you remain responsive to evolving trends and also to your competitive landscape. And so by completing the SWOT analysis from a branding perspective this time, and try to remember that as you're doing this, we want to really specifically stay in the lane of branding. So it can help us to make informed decisions for our business and also adapt anywhere that's needed. And so we want to really clearly identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of your branding and of your brand identity, so that we can make thoughtful decisions moving forward. And then when defining your brand image, one of the best ways to do this as well is to draw insights through analyzing your competitors and just analyzing what they're doing. So whether that be, looking through their social media, looking through their comments, and looking through their websites, we can really gain valuable perspectives on what's working well and what doesn't work. As well as identify any potential gaps in the industry where our brand can really shine through uniquely. All right, okay, we're getting through this. We've got just a little bit more to go in our strategy. Now, again, I think if you enjoy storytelling or you enjoy writing, you enjoy words, this portion tends to be kind of fun. So if you struggle to use comprehensive wording, or you struggle with words, this portion might prove to be a little bit more difficult though, but it's just something that we practice, something that we work on, and try not to let it become overwhelming or become an obstacle. So crafting a brand message or a brand tagline or working to revise a current one is imperative for consistency and for aligning your branding. And so again, when you're working on messaging, you want to keep in mind everything else that you've done thus far on your branding. So we're looking back at your mission, your core values, your story, your personality. Your tagline needs to encompass all of this, but it needs to be short and sweet. So a really good rule of thumb to remember about taglines is, and I know that Jennifer's heard me say this before, but your tagline needs to be short enough that if it's going to be placed on a billboard, that people are not going to drive off the road while they try to read it. So therefore, it needs to be like 7 or 8 words max. So it's really important to choose comprehensive wording and also easy to comprehend words too. So you can start to brainstorm for your tagline here. One thing I like to do when getting started with taglines for branding is just to start writing down adjectives that I like that describe the brand. So write down words that sound or look pleasing and start with those. And then you can start to incorporate writing down words, writing down who you help, who your audience is. Write down some words that describe your offerings. Write down who your offerings are benefiting. So now we have like a big compilation of several words to work from. And then we can start playing by putting those words together in different orders, seeing what works. And you can also consider here, maybe you already have a well-developed tagline, or maybe you just want to rework it or you want to revamp it. And that is completely okay too. Taglines do not have to be permanent if you think of something much better for your brand. So a good example of this is FedEx. So FedEx is a huge company, but over the years, they've changed their tagline 7 times so far because they just keep thinking of something that better resonates with their audience. Or maybe, there's a shift in their audience or something changes, so they just change their tagline, and that's okay to do. All right, now we're going to touch real quick on brand image and visuals because this is a really critical step for establishing a strong brand identity. So this could encompass logos, colors, design elements. Our logo is the face of our brand. or a symbol that encompasses who we are. Or a lot of brands now aren't necessarily using logos, but they're using very distinguishable fonts. But whatever you choose here, the key is consistency. So whether it's on your website, it's on promotional materials, social media, or any other platform, everything should be very consistent to have this strong, unified look, unified visuals really build recognition. They also build brand trust. So this is where creating these elements, such as creating a brand guidebook, comes onto play. You can use programs like Canva to really easily create a brand guidebook. But creating these guidebooks or creating documentation and then sharing with everyone that's working with you really helps everybody to stay on brand. And so all the visuals become really consistent. So whether you're creating from scratch, or maybe you are working to really further define your visual elements and you want to create a great guidebook, this is just a really good place to start. You can start by listing some specific colors that align with your branding. We can look at other elements for visual design, such as fonts, specific imagery that really reinforces your brand identity. Here we're looking at layouts, arrangements of your visuals, just creating a strategy or guidelines for these will really help play a really strong role in your brand identity. Okay, the next step in our mini branding strategy after visuals is to explore our online branding presence. So we're in a really big digital age, obviously. So it's important in our branding strategy to establish this really strong online presence. And many of you already have a strong online presence. Maybe we just want to strengthen it, start posting more consistently, or incorporating our new visuals or our rebranding efforts into our digital platforms to create that desired cohesion. And so creating a schedule to regularly post content that's really relevant and that's engaging is key. And there's some very beneficial social media scheduling programs as well that you can use here, such as Metricool, Later, Social Champ. There's a million free of costs, and these can help you to really schedule out your posts. So it's not something that you're necessarily working on every day. But we're working on integrating our brand story and our visuals and everything that we've established this far into our online platforms. And really, this will really help to strengthen our brand identity as well. And so the key here is just to take really small, manageable, and realistic steps. Okay, and then finally, as we start to wrap this up, we are looking at ways to just continuously monitor and adapt our branding. So we have to establish effective methods to perceive how our brand is viewed across the various channels that we're utilizing. And so this step involves really actively listening to customer feedback or comments, monitoring our social media mentions, and utilizing analytics tools as well to really gauge our audience. And so all of these efforts are going to help strengthen our overall brand identity. And so this is actually the point where we're going to start setting very clear and very achievable branding goals. So when working through this step, we want to be very considerate of our time, our current workload, our technological abilities, all of these aspects we want to really consider and be thoughtful of so that we're creating good goals, but that we're also creating realistic goals. So we're looking at SMART goals here, which are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And then our final step in our brand strategy and strengthening our brand is going to be encouraging brand advocacy. So after we've completed all of these vital steps in creating our brand identity, or our brand story, we are going to work to turn everyone around us into brand advocates. And so this goes for anybody at all that's associated with your brand, but it's really just about creating this collective voice that starts from within and then echoes outward. And so encouraging others here to be an integral part of your brand narrative is key. All right, so this pretty much concludes our presentation today on branding and on strengthening our brand identity through strategy. And so as we go, I have just a few key takeaways to remember today. So in crafting a really strong brand identity and a good solid strategy, we want to begin by defining our core values and pinpointing our target audience, just to lay a good foundation for our success. Next, we are working to really weave together a compelling brand narrative and tagline that resonate with both our values and our audience. Remember that as we go through this, consistency is key. So maintaining really uniform visuals across all your platforms fosters recognition and also builds trust among our audience. With our SMART goals in place, we ensure continuous monitoring and adaptation of our branding efforts. And then finally, by fostering brand advocacy through both our internal and external channels, we can really work to amplify our brand's narrative and then extend its reach as well. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that you have gained some good insight on branding. And now if we have any questions or comments, we can chat together. We will catch up with Taylor in the chat and get some links for you as well.